Thanks for joining us. And today we're going to talk about how does Kriya Yoga work? And this is a conversation between myself and Maxwell Popp, who is also a Kriya Yoga Acharya in the Panchanan Bhattacharya lineage of Kriya Yoga. And this is recorded at Zonneval Yoga Studio in Klimpton-Leck, Germany in November 2024. One of the things I think we were thinking about first was just around what is the function of Kriya Yoga in meditation, and what does that, if you do Kriya Yoga, what do you get from that? Do you want to talk about that?
I think Kriya Yoga is a great tool to have to learn how to let go of a lot of stuff and to tranquilize the body. It's a big... When we use the HRV breathing technique and the Kriya Pranayama, it's setting us up in a good situation where we can really start to let go of those deep-rooted things, to go deeper into meditation. So,
when you say tranquilizing the body, what do you mean by that?
A lot of times when we're in the sympathetic nervous system, if our body is not relaxed, our mind is not uplifted, and it's definitely not relaxed. So by using these breathing techniques, these Kriya Pranayama, we're moving into the parasympathetic nervous system and relaxing the body, and therefore relaxing the mind, allowing things to come up and let them go, essentially. Yeah.
One thing that I was thinking about too is when we're bringing ourselves into that low idle state with Kriya, it's like a special technique that allows you to suspend the world for a time, because you're doing that intentional breathing. So you're using some intention to say, hey, I'm transitioning away from being outwardly focused, concerns about the world or thoughts of things that you want to do in life and so on, or just in your regular day, or preoccupations with experiences one has had, and go, hey, I'm still kind of hanging on to that. You do that Kriya Yoga, and then it's just like, it pushes it away for a time, right? Like this sort of high pressure ridge of the weather so the sun comes out, and then we're in the, in that beautiful kind of open, spacious sort of awareness, low idle state and so on. And then suspending sort of distractions of the mind for a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, setting those distractions aside and really going inside ourselves and going deeper. So would you like to explain what works for us, or what we found that works in using Kriya Yoga a little bit? What we use in Parasta as a way to start dealing with the hindrances.
So especially when we're talking about hindrances, we're talking about, normally there's these patterns that start to come up in meditation that are like distractions. In Buddhism, they call them hindrances. We can think of them kind of like we're on a grid. There's a push and a pull. There's attraction, right, or sensual craving. There's aversion, which is you want to push things away. So I like this or I don't like that. There's these kind of polar opposites. On the other end of it as well, another set of sort of polar opposites of distractions are restlessness of the mind. So can't concentrate in any way, being dragged back into a thought stream about something that happened or whatever, and not being able to sit down and just be comfortable in your own mind. And then from there, the opposite of that would be sloth and torpor, which is where you start to kind of get really like drift off and tune out. So you've got that attraction aversion, and then you've got the restlessness and sloth and torpor. And as well, the fifth hindrance in that would be doubt. And doubt could mean a bunch of things, but in terms of the context of meditation, what we're really talking about is not really understanding what's happening in your mind at any particular time, not knowing what's present, not knowing what state of mind you're in. And that really is a lack of mindfulness, the ability to really be able to see how the mind is moving around between things. So that's usually a key thing that people run into in Kriya Yoga, is that they start to they'll do their meditation practice, and the Kriya Pranayama is great for bringing in body into a low idle state, and they'll sit in the after effect state of that. So when they've stopped doing their techniques, and some people call it sitting in stillness, but then the mind will start to drift to be pulled towards attraction, or to be repelled, or to become restless, or to become sort of, sloth and torpor and sort of lazy, or to just kind of really not knowing what's going on in meditation. And I see majority of students who have issues, they're running into those hindrances right there.
Yeah, that doubt being a big one, questioning, am I doing my practice right? Did I miss something? Why isn't this working? Kind of moving into this conceit and compare. Well, I heard somebody say this is supposed to happen, and really kind of digging yourself in deep and into this thought pattern that you can't get out of. So, yeah.
And so, we, I think, have an approach to work with those hindrances. We know that there are best practices from Buddhism that talk about how to become aware of those hindrances as they rise, right? And then how to let them go, how to abandon them. And that, for me at least, is one of the biggest changes that had ever happened to my meditation, where before I would get deep in Kriya Yoga and the body would disappear from my awareness and be drawn into it like an inner blackness, very concentrated, internalized state, but not really much going on beyond that, because I didn't know how to see how the hindrances were arising, and I didn't know how to let them go. So there are some meditation practices that actually suppress the hindrances, meaning they suppress the distractions of the mind by trying to concentrate and internalize. But if one concentrates too much, it creates the suppression of those hindrances, and then you can't let them go. And letting them go is exactly what allows you to progress in meditation.
Yeah?
Yeah, so Paravasta is... Paravasta, yeah. I think it may be used in other yogic traditions, but in Kriya Yoga, what it means is what is happening in your experience after you have done the techniques. Sorry?
After you've done the pranayama and the kriyas.
Yeah, because then you're sitting there and there's something happening. And normally what it is, when we look at it and talk about it physiologically, what's happening is the body is actually, you feel different, right? You may feel kind of tingling throughout the body and so on. So that's, Paravasta is normally talked about that, and it means after effect, poised state of Kriya. The effect of the Kriya pranayama and associated practices. And you feel different, and then you start to become absorbed in your meditation. As far as Paravasta for Kriya yogis go, it's often not done in the ideal way, in the optimal way. Often it's trying to concentrate to try and get deeper and more absorbed to move your way towards bliss, and then have that bliss permeating you and just staying in that, and that becomes your identified state. But what we're saying is that instead of going in that direction, those feelings are going to come up, but they're impermanent and they are impersonal and they don't bring lasting satisfaction. So all you can really do is just say, wow, bliss is present. Big deal. And then let go of that, and the state will change, right? And you go into something deeper where you go, well, you could say a bliss of nothingness, right? Is one of the sort of, so sometimes people who've reached that state will talk about. But it's just all these, impermanent states that are just accessible. So yeah, that's what we mean by Paravasta.
And I think in the really simple explanation of Paravasta, it's the activation of the parasympathetic nervous system. That's what's happening at that point, right?
It's a general description for things that could be potentially happening. So it's not a state of consciousness. It's just like, we know something happened, there's an effect of the Kriya, and it could be highly variable. So experienced in all sorts of different ways. Some people might experience real Kundalini activation, so feeling the energy flowing up through their spine and grounding up to the top of the head, and just all this buzzing and stuff. So people may experience that, or some people may experience subtle sensations in the body. They're just pleasurable and pleasant, or feelings of joy. All of those can manifest, and that's really what Paravasta is. But normally I would say, if there's a commonality among Paravasta, it's where the body starts to recede from your awareness and you start to be drawn within in some way, because it gets tranquilized.
Yeah.
And that's what Kriya does, is to tranquilize the body, and to some degree the intentional thinking mind. But other things are required to tranquilize the aspects of intentionality at the level of the mind, the thoughts we cling to, all of those things which are source of unhappiness. tranquilizing that is a process of letting go of it. And so that's what the jhanas are, a concise description of states of paravasta, if you will, or different experiences of paravasta. So jhanas, yeah. So, and so that comes from dhyan, the Sanskrit word dhyan, but in Pali it's jhana, but it's a particular way of describing states of absorption or states of meditation, deepening states of meditation. And really in the first jhana, what we're seeing is the body, where we're feeling rapturous feelings in the body, is called piti. So these are basically the parasympathetic activation. You feel tingling in your body perhaps, or your body feels whatever, and you feel this kind of lightness feeling, this joy that comes up, piti and sukha. But the intentional thinking mind is still there, possibly directing the meditation. Once you let go of that intentional thinking mind, you go deeper, and the mind becomes quiet, and then you're in the second jhana. And as you let go more, then you get into this sort of state of contentment, where the sort of feelings of paravasta may move up into the heart, and you feel like this, you could be experiencing kind of a devotion, or just a well-being, a love for yourself, for other beings, etc., etc. And as you allow yourself to just go deeper and let go of whatever comes up, your awareness may move up into the head area, and then the body starts to disappear from your awareness entirely. It can feel like a shadow, or it just completely disappears, and you don't perceive it. And then from there you can get into like an expansion into the fifth jhana. So that was the fourth jhana, where the body's disappearing, and the fifth jhana, where you become this infinite, aware of it, this infinity of space and so on. So the Buddhists have very well mapped out the jhanas. And that's what we talk about, as far as paravasta. So if you have any questions about this video, feel free to send me an email at info@modernkriya.com. Also check our website at modernkriya.com and our YouTube channel. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.